What is going on, guys? It is me, your boy John with Grand Exploration, and welcome to another episode of The Build. Yes, we're out here in gray, rainy Bremerton, Washington, like Bremerton usually is. We're chilling at the Overland truck store right now. I'm waiting for my boy Kyle. He is doing some last minute fixes on his 80 series, and we're gonna go hit a trail. But I'm just hanging around his shop right now, and I thought, what better opportunity than to do a walk around video on the Grand because she has a few new things. Now, you guys have already been introduced to the 35s on her now. We'll go a little more in depth on that and how I made things fit. But I also have some interior mods and one more exterior mod that I actually switched up from a previous brand. I'll get into the mod later, but that didn't work for me to something now that works so much better for me and is saving me money in the long run. This video now, I mean, I've done two other walk around videos, but now this one, she has kind of got into her sweet spot. There's still some things to add, but right now I can say that she is a decent, strong overland vehicle. And this video is to help people with a WK2 know how to make it into an off-road / overland vehicle, because there are haters of the WK2 and there are lovers. And I think if you build it this way, some of those haters start moving into respecting this platform a little bit more, just a little bit. So I'm going to teach you guys what I did to build this thing up to do what it does. And hopefully I'm giving some good advice. Hopefully I'm helping you guys save money in the long run from making mistakes. And I'm just going to be blunt and honest about what I think is just totally crap and unnecessary to put on the WK2, and what I think is a little bit more worth it. So, without further ado, let's get into this. If you haven't hit subscribe, smack that subscribe button. I really appreciate it, guys. I love you guys so much for your support. And let's get into this before Kyle gets back and he's ready to go. Let's go. And I also want to thank the product sponsor of this video today, Trailway Designs. They sent us a cool new product, which we'll get into in a second, and it's working out awesome. I didn't know if I would like it, but I think I do. So I'll show you that, but big shout out to Trailway Designs. Check them out. All right, guys, we are starting from the top. The Granite Grand is a 2015 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited 4x4, okay? That is the Quadra-Trek 2 system. So she is missing a rear locker, but that's all right. She still gets around, but I would love that Quadra drive. That would be sick, but we're working with what we got. And this is how we built her out. First things first, the Granite Grand is sitting on a 3-inch lift. That is using the Dobinson IMS 2.5-inch lift, accompanied with 6 Monkeys shims in the front and rear coil spacers in the rear, with the front struts adjusted up so that hub to fender is just at or just under 23 inches. You do not want to exceed 23 inches on this lift. You will start getting problems, so do not do it. I know a lot of people ask me, you know, well, how many spacers did you use and how far did you adjust it? You know, it really all depends on the weight you're carrying. The amount of extra adjustment up for me may be different for you. I have a winch in the front that brought the front end down originally, so I had to adjust up. I have a 35-inch spare tire on the back. That adds a lot of weight, and so I had to adjust up. So you just really have to think about the type of weight you're carrying and how much cargo you're bringing on a trip versus what you know, how much weight you got on a daily basis when you're not on trips. That's going to determine how many spacers or whatever you use to get up there to that 3-inch mark. But this suspension system has been great. The Dobinson lift, I stand by, man. There's a few other great ones out there, of course, but I feel like it's not really a budget suspension system, but it is if you taking into account brands like Icon or King. You know, I believe this lift comes in at about just over $3,000, And if you're having someone else install it, it's going to be north of that. But if you're doing it yourself, everything is about $3,000 out the door. Now this brings me to the part that I don't want to have to do because I'm going to hurt people's feelings. But like I said, I'm being blunt. I have people ask me all the time, you know, what suspension system should they get for the WK2? Now, I'm not paid by Dobinson. They are not a sponsor. I just love their product. It is a good quality product. It's meant to get beat up. It just lasts, and she rides good, and she carries the weight. And that's what you want if you're trying to actually go out and wheel, okay? I've had people say, hey, I'm gonna do my setup just like you, and I'm going with the rough country struts and springs. No, I'm sorry. If you are building your WK2 to do the things that I do on this channel, or other off-roaders that you see, I'm sorry to say the rough country system is just not meant for that. I have a buddy running the rough country. I know a couple people running the rough country struts and shocks on their WK2, and they absolutely hate it. I see the issue with them when I go out with them. Their suspension is dragging. It doesn't hold weight on trips when they have their cargo. Even so much as to when they put passengers in the rear, it is sagging. So it does not keep that lifted look. Even if that's all you're going for is a lifted look, it just does not keep the lifted look once you load it. It's for show, and they are not strong. That's no diss on rough country. I think they made it for the look. I don't think they made it for off-roading. I could be wrong. But I'm sorry, rough country just is not gonna cut it if you are trying to wheel and do some good stuff, all right? So I'm sorry, I don't wanna hurt your feelings. Now, there's a whole different side to that too. If that's the only thing that's in your budget and you just have to get a lift now and you want it lifted, do it. There's no knock on that. This is more about, hey, if you're trying to do what we're doing and get out there and you wanna have a great time and not worry about things breaking, then this is me saying, save that $500 on the rough country lift, okay? And wait to get something that is going to stand up to the beatings, okay? Or if your stock suspension is still good, why would you get rid of a expensive, well put together stock suspension for a $500 budget suspension? You have to ask yourself that. Don't do it. If you don't have to, don't do it. Now, I know some people where their air suspension went out and they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and the rough country is what seems to be the only thing in their future for now. Do it. Go ahead. I feel you, bro. But if you can help it, don't do it. Don't. Okay. This is one of the things I'm excited about because this I switched out. And that is, let me switch her around. The JBA upper control arms. Previously, I was running the Rocky Road Outfitters. I've heard great things about Rocky Road. A lot of their stuff is great. Their upper control arms, I've had nothing but issues with them. A lot of my subscribers have had nothing but issues with them. And I almost hate the fact that I ever put the Rocky Road upper control arms in my walk-around videos previously and encouraged people to go that route, okay? The ball joints that I've had on there, the Moog ball joints that come with it, freaking, I've busted 3 of them, okay? When you install it, they come squished. Like the ball joint is squished. And I swapped them out again, and then the driver's side was okay, but the passenger side was just squished. And I called Rocky Road. I'm like, hey, why is this doing this? Did I do something wrong? I went back and made sure I did everything right as far as tightening and fastening and bolting on. Still, same problem. Ball joints were squished. They told me, don't worry about how it looks as long as it's holding grease. Sure enough, a week after that, the boot split, spewing grease. So I guess I do have to worry about that. And also, I'm not a fan of the Rocky Road customer service. I'm sorry. They just sound like a bunch of teenagers that have a summer job and hate their life and they just have to make some money. I could be wrong, but that's the way they come off. So I don't think I will be going with Rocky Road for most of my things. Now, the only thing, maybe the gas tank skids, because you can't find those anywhere. So, but as far as the UCAs and those major components, no. These JBA upper control arms, so far, they are sick, okay? But before I get into that, their customer service, spot on, okay? They had sent me like 3 follow-up emails personally to ask me how my purchase was going, if I had any issues. And then on top of that, when I got the order, now, some people may not care about this, but I do. As a man of faith, I open the box and I see a little DVD that says, "Do you know about Jesus Christ?" Like, that was awesome. They sold me on that because we share the same ideas. We're faith driven, and I can stand by an American company that stands on the Word of God. That's just me though, but that was a big plus. But with these control arms, first of all, they are 3 times as thick as the OEM upper control arms, and they are twice as thick as the Rocky Road upper control arms. And they fit in so snug, everything is so tight. But the main thing I love is this boot on the ball joint. It's accordion style. That means she's able to bend a lot more at these creases as opposed to the Moog ball joint where it just cracks because it's all smooth and it can only take so much abuse before she cracks. And yes, these things are awesome. My buddy at Wholesale Express, CJ, who does my alignment, oh man, he was able to get better alignment specs than stock with these JBA upper control arms. These things are sick. I love them, and I would definitely recommend you doing these, especially if you're getting a lift done on your WK2. All right, because the alignment is crucial on these things. Now, still working down here in suspension components. You have to forgive me. The Jeep is so dirty right now, and I'm not going to clean her because we're going back on the trail. But we are all running B. Woody products under here. These are the B. Woody extended sway bar links. They're front and rear, and they help too. These things are beefy. They're strong. They're not breaking. The only issue that I've had with the B. Woody links, and that's just because I didn't use Loctite at first. After a trail ride or so, those bolts like to kind of back out. You have to stay up on the B. Woody components. They're great components. They just require some maintenance and oversight to making sure that they're still tight and good to go. And you do not want to over torque them because you will start squishing the bushings. You do have an option to get an upgraded bushing, which I will be doing soon because I've kind of torn up some of my bushings on these links. But they're also, as you see, in the rear. And then this long silver B. Woody bar, that's my lateral toe arm. I cannot stress enough how important these lateral toe arms are, okay? One of the weakest points in the WK2 is that lateral toe arm, the stock one. She will bend. In Trackhawks, now this is really amazing. In Trackhawks, they use the same lateral toe arm as the 3.6. That's insane because they have so much torque. And of course, with all that torque, those stock lateral control arm, or lateral toe arms will bend. I've seen it on the trail. I've had multiple buddies bend their lateral toe arms, and it is not fun trying to get off the trail with those broken. So those B. Woody lateral toe arms, they're beefy. And if you're gonna build your Jeep to do some good, fun, crazy stuff, even if it's not crazy, just any kind of off-roading, I would really encourage you to get aftermarket lateral toe arms, specifically B. Woody. But I know there's a few more brands out there. I just don't know too much about them. And with all that being said, all those components work together to push these big old Hummers. We are running the Nitto Trail Grapplers in 35 by 11.5, and they wrap around the Defiant Wheels DF01. Now, this is courtesy of Defiant Wheels. They contacted me, wanted me to run these, try them out, beat them up. And I told them, I said, I'm hard on my wheels, okay? And they were like, perfect. And these things are great. They are not bead locks, they're simulation bead lock. But that protective ring still, it helps out a whole bunch, man. It keeps everything tight in there. And these tires, they're not that hard to fit the WK2 if you're willing to do a little bit of trimming. More trimming than you need on 33s, that's for sure. And one of the major things here, now we're not fully done with all the trimming. I've done a little bit more, but it needs some more to get full crank. But so far, she's trail worthy. The first thing you need to do is going to be not only push your pinch weld back, but this guy needs to get trimmed down. You got to cut this, take this cap off, and re-weld it and get this space. This is too much space. That tire will definitely make contact with that. I already had my plastic fenders cut off. I did that in preparation for 35s, 2 months before I even got the 35s. And but yes, you're gonna need to do all that to make it fit. You may need new subframe brackets, which is right there. I haven't so far, but I'm still gonna do it. My tires don't come in contact with that. I think if you got a 35 by 12 and a half, you might need to, but mine are just a little bit skinnier and they clear just fine. The other point of contact running these 35s, now this is a temporary cut job. It's gonna be done all nice and clean. I know it's a little bit ugly right now, at least to me, but the 35 will come in contact here. When you have the full trim. I cut this trim in half, it clears, and then I cut the top fender right here. I cut it just before where I need to weld. All right, so the metal is still pinched together. But ultimately, I'm going to cut the rest of this lip, do custom fenders that cover all this, and then you will need to re-weld the doors. Right now, I just have sealant on there, but I still cut it short enough to where the weld isn't fully necessary, but I will want to do that. I use some sealant here, right here in the rear door. But that is a job for a good welding. You do need to weld that if you're gonna make 35s fit properly. I know people that have run 35s, didn't do any cutting. They've lost some plastic trim here and there, but if you really want to do it right and have no issues, you got to cut. Got to. Oh, and I am running just a little Titan Accessories 1/2 inch spacer there, just to kick her out a little bit more. These Defiant wheels come in a positive 12, but I just wanted to kick it out a little bit. It wasn't really necessary, just kind of more of a stance look. I stand by Titan Accessories spacers because if you get a full spacer, they are hub centric, but they are made out of T6 aluminum, which is the strength you need for off-roading. I've never had an issue with my wheel spacers, and I beat this thing up. Every time I go and check the torque spec, she's still tight, she's still torqued down. So I haven't had any issues. Don't be scared of running wheel spacers. Just make sure you do them correctly and not like a bonehead, because you don't want to lose a wheel on the freeway. All right, now this is a cool little doodad. Not necessary for making your vehicle a true overland vehicle, but this is more convenience. These are the Apex quick release valves. They make two types. One is one that actually is bolted into the wheel. This one is more topical because my valve stem hole is pretty deep, so these don't stick out that far. But for some people, these topical ones stick way too far out. But you just take the cap off and you pull. Air comes out super fast. So it will air down a lot faster than you're used to. So you got to keep an eye on it, time it, make sure you get your timing right so you have the sweet spot, and every time you hit the trail, you know how long they need to be released, and you will be at your desired pressure. Just the luxurious things, guys, not a necessary thing. Okay, so we are done. Sorry, I'm kind of moving through this right now because I'm feeling like Kyle's going to pull up any second and be ready to go. But moving on, we've done the suspension, wheels, and tires. Now, I am running for a winch. I'm doing the open road 9.5K winch. It has been awesome. I haven't had any issues with it. And the cradle to hold that is the Chief Products winch cradle. All right. And I got the Factor 50, or the Agency 6 hook and open road fairlead. Now, the thing with the Chief Products winch cradle is if you get it, inspect it. When I got mine, the first one, I hadn't even used it yet. I had it bolted on for 2 weeks, and I noticed the weld seam had split, cracked. And it didn't look like a good weld. They didn't do the whole good like L shape on the inside. It was just straight down and it started splitting. I hadn't even used it yet. Their stuff looks awesome, but some of their stuff I don't feel is strong for beating up on the trails. It's another thing I think that a lot of their products are a looks good type of a thing. But the winch cradle, now that I got it back with the proper welds, she's been strong, she's been holding up, and not even a creak or a crack out of her when I'm pulling with the winch. So I will say they did a good job the second time around. I don't have anything bad to say about it. But I know when I get Chief Product stuff, I've made a habit to inspect it first because it looks like some things tend to slip through the cracks on their assembly line. Now below that, we have the Chief Products lower guard. That's been great. It's held up. Everything with Chief Products kind of fits together like Legos, which is cool. So you can buy things a la carte, and then you want to add a different piece. They fit together, which is pretty sick. For my recovery hooks, I have the 6 Monkeys recovery hooks. 6 Monkeys, I got nothing bad to say. They're strong. They're built for this. Daniel at 6 Monkeys knows what he's doing. He's a phenomenal welder. He knows how to put things together. He does the math, so you don't have to, and it works. The only thing that sucks about 6 Monkeys, Daniel, is that freaking bed liner or the paint they use will chip off after a while so easily. And but there's not much you can do about it. It has to do with regulations and painting regulations and all kinds of weird political stuff. So no knock on you, Daniel. Still love you, bud. Hope you're coming to Seattle soon because I need you to do some welding for me. But yeah, 6 Monkeys, awesome. I got them all around the Jeep. We'll look at a few more components from 6 Monkeys. All right, the next 6 Monkeys product is not the ditch lights themselves, but the actual brackets. These are the new improved 6 Monkeys ditch light brackets. They don't frickin' flop. They stay stationary. The old ones were a little thin. And these ones, man, they're thick. They're beefy. Now the lights I'm using, these are the first pod lights I ever got. These are the Rough Country 2-inch pods. They're pretty scratched up now on that lens because I don't use the covers, but I could probably buff it out. These things have been awesome. They've never failed on me, but it is about time for some upgraded ones. I'm looking at either Dial Dynamics or Baja Designs or something cool. But these are the first ones I got. They've done their job. They have amber backlighting, which I'll show you in a second, and white light, spot white light. So the amber light is not for seeing, it's more for people to see you, but the white light is their main light. I also have the Rough Country I think it's a 22-inch single row light bar. And that has been awesome too. Once again, the white light is their predominant light, and then it has a back amber light. realistically, I need to go all amber. For now, I just have some cheaper Las Fit ambers on top of that to kind of light the path in the dust, in the fog and stuff like that. But those will be coming down, and I'm going to be getting like exclusively amber lighting in the front, and I think that'll do me better. But yeah, that's been sick. The next Six Monkeys product is, if we go to the back, is the rear tire carrier. This thing's been sick. It's worked great. It holds the weight of that 35 for sure. It's actually a hitch receiver swing out, and it's probably one of the best hitch receiver swing outs out there as far as strength and durability. The only thing I don't like about it is it still has a little bit of wobble, but not bad. I just don't like the wobble. It's a tight wobble. It's not loosey-goosey, but I'm hoping for something that's a little more sucked up to the back of the Jeep without that gap. And that is what we will be doing. And Six Monkeys does make that now. They have a whole new rear bumper setup. You do got to cut your rear bumper. The swing out is actually bolted to that piping of the bumper, and it sits so close to the back, and the arms are curved, and it fits the curvature of the Jeep so well. It's a thing of beauty, and I will be getting that as soon as I can afford it. But it's a sick piece. I'll show you guys a picture of it right here. Yeah, she's nice. So that's next in the future. All right, for rock rails, these are the Off-Road Animal rock rails. These are the slim design. These are not my favorite. Before I got into wheeling, I thought these would be the sickest thing because they're so slim and nice looking with the curvature of the Jeep. But as my skills improved and my experience improved off-roading, these are not what I would have gone with. I would have gone with something a little more poked out from the side of the Jeep and maybe curved up to protect it better from rocks and things and boulders on the side. Something with a kicker that will you can kind of weave and kind of pivot on things. With these, I wouldn't do it. You can a little bit if you don't have a boulder sticking too far out, but something more to protect that whole side panel of the Jeep. But they're strong. They've held together. You can use your jack off of it and things like that. She's bolted on there pretty good, and she's tough. So I like her, but something a little more poked out to protect it better is ideal. Now the last thing I'm going to show you on the outside is the new headlight upgrade. These are the Veland headlights, LED, with the LED halos and all that. These things are sick. I love them. At first, I got kind of scared because I had some of you guys telling me, hey, I can't get the high beams to work. And then I checked the high beams and mine didn't work either. But actually, it's just the setting. It's the polarity of that high beam. Since the high beam uses the same bulb as your low beams, you just have to adjust, switch the plug. I just got a message from somebody yesterday saying you just got to switch the plug. So I am going to pop these open, check it out under there, and do whatever they said and see if that works. So I'll get back with you guys and make sure that the high beams work. But I guess there is a fix to it, so don't worry. The Veland high beams do work. But these headlights have a lot of cool features. They have like that intro piece that flashes with blue and has kind of a breathing effect on the halos. But you can also switch your blinkers. You can have it blink like a standard blinker, or it can switch it to a sequential kind of a design where it goes, right to left, left to right, kind of like you see on Mustangs and a lot of vehicles today. It's just about switching another plug underneath the driver's side head unit, and you have all those options. So read the directions carefully when you get these lights, and you'll see all the cool features in them. These ones actually are the model with all the black on the interior of it. You can get the other version with chrome, but I mean, I'm pretty sure I speak for everyone when I say the black guts are so sick. All right, guys, that is the exterior of the Grand. Oh, forgot it. It's something I always overlook. That roof rack, just a regular old roof basket. Most people hate roof baskets, but I've got a lot of comments on this roof basket, and people want to know where I got it. So this roof basket is an Amazon purchase. It's a roller rack, okay? It's discontinued, unfortunately, but there's a lot of other models that look identical to it. But I think the reason why most people love it or want to know about it is because it sits so low. This rack does not sit low when you buy it, okay? The height in which it sits has to do with the crossbars. These are also an Amazon purchase. What I did was just a little DIY. I got rid of the spacers that the crossbars come with, and I bolted these crossbars straight to my side rails using the same size bolt that the crossbars come with, just a 1/2 inch longer. I believe it's like an M6. And I bolted it down and then put the rack down, and now it sits really low. So that's how I got that look. Now, doing that, I'm sure I decreased the amount of weight that it can carry, but I don't put a lot of weight on my roof anyway. It looks like I do, but really I don't. That thing it sits fine. It's been sitting up there for about 2.5, 3 years almost without an issue. All right, now that's the exterior of the Grand. Let's move in to the interior.
You got a way higher powered fog in it there, and it just brighten the night up a little more because the factory stuff just sucks, man.
Yeah.
Had to get me a little swag from the Overland truck store shop. Now we're here at the shop now, waiting on Kyle. He's with a customer right now. But yeah, the shop's pretty sick. Check it out. 4-bay garage. There's Kyle's baby, the 80 series right-hand drive. Been having some issues with that transmission cooler, but he thinks he has it fixed. So hopefully we get on the trail soon, because it is already freaking almost 2 o'clock in the wintertime in Washington. That means we got 3 hours of daylight left, and we're trying to find some snow. So let's get on. All right, guys, so as you can tell, we're at a different location. That's because the trail was just not in our cards for tonight. We're taking a little bit too long with Kyle's 80 series. But yes, let's go through some of these interior mods I did on the Grand. Kind of excited. I changed up things, switched up the feng shui a little bit. So hopefully you guys like it. I'm kind of digging it. Still getting used to it though. But check it out. All right, we are in the cockpit. Now, I'm going to be fully transparent. I saw Sean from Storytell Now's last video where he got the new Molly panel on the Gladiator, and he ran his mini iPad from the Molly panel on the overhead instead of on the dash, and I fell in love with it. Now, Six Monkeys makes the Molly panel for the WK2. He makes the whole set, front, middle, and rear. So far, I just have the front. But yeah, the thing's sick, dude. So I got that. It's kind of hard to see right now. It's a little dark, but let me switch things up. I'll switch the light to white. I also got this LED strip off Amazon for red light. A little easier on the eyes at night, but we can switch it to any color we want. But yeah, we got the Molly panel. It just hooks to where your little hand loops were for the above the door, and we replaced them with these Six Monkeys ones here. But it bolts in nice and strong. It's not going anywhere. And yeah, you can more space for accessories. If it's one thing with this WK2 Jeep, you need cargo space. It's a small platform and you need all the bit of space to store stuff as you can get. And this Molly panel allows you to do that. So I got this iPad mount. Now, I was going to mount it to the Molly, but I found this magnetic plate I had laying around with a 20 millimeter ball for the socket, and it's just freaking, it's strong as heck. It's magnetic. That way I can take it off, put it in the rear when I'm sleeping in the back of the Jeep and watch movies on that. So I can just move it from front to back. And now the next thing that I have in here is, which is the product sponsor for this video, Trailway Designs. They went ahead and sent me a switch panel bracket that actually mounts to the visor mount on the corner of the top corner of the roof of the Jeep. So I can't find my words today. I don't know what's wrong with me. But check this out. It's pretty cool. So right here, I'm able to mount my switch panel right in the bracket that goes to, you want to see that personal stuff, right up in the mount for the visor. And you still get full function of the visor. And that works out great. Trailway Designs, check them out. They're making some pretty dope stuff for the WK2. And actually for the switch panel itself, I guess I should mention, I'm running the Oxbeam 8-gang switch panel. And I'll show you what that looks like under the hood in a little bit. And then next to that, I got my life insurance. That's the Zoleo satellite communicator. If you go anywhere remote and you don't have cell signal, I would highly suggest you get one of these. You can get a Garmin. Garmin makes like the Garmin Mini and all these other things. But there's a whole bunch of devices you can get that do the same thing. I can basically text, depends on the plan you get, but the text, loved ones, let them know you're all right. You can leave breadcrumbs to where you've been so that they could track you if something were to happen. You also have a little hidden SOS button that you can hit. Just be careful not to hit it by accident. But you can get the search and rescue team out there for you. The reason I went with the Zoleo at the time compared to the Garmin Mini, which I was going to get, is the fact that when I send a distress call or a message out, it will let me know that the recipient got it instead of wondering if it was going to go through, because satellite communication can take a little bit of time. And so the Zoleo just reassures me that my recipient got the message and it went through. So that's a plus, especially if you're in a bad situation that's really important. Now the next little toy I got, this is the, now the name's slipping me, the Wolf Box. This is the Wolf Box, and it is an overlay for my rear view mirror. You can get the the bracket to actually replace your rear view mirror. I didn't go with that, but I might later, because the front camera actually kind of gets in the way of the original mount to my mirror. But I love this thing. So as you can tell right now, it's a normal mirror. You can use it as such. If you go ahead and let's turn it on. Wolf box. If you turn it on, you got GPS, so it tells you how fast you're going and the direction you're traveling. I got date and time. Right now we got the rear view camera set up, but you can switch. Boom. Oh, sorry. There's the rear view camera. There's the front and rear view camera. And then the same thing, but switch sides. And then front camera. And the front camera records at 4K. The rear camera records at 2.5K. And this thing's pretty sick. I mean, you can wire it up to your fuse box and have it monitoring your vehicle even while it's off and you're parked. You can change the sensitivity modes as far as G-force. So if somebody hits your vehicle or it's getting messed with, it will save that and record it. And if we look at some of these options here, so like I can go back to my playbacks, my front normal album, front urgent album. So if there's something that needs to get captured that could be a potential hazard, it will put it in that file. You can take photos, and then the same for the rear. If you're driving and you need to get a photo real quick, maybe someone's license plate, you hit the little camera button and boom, it takes a photo of that and saves it. It comes with a 64 gig SD card, but I bumped that up to a 128. And the cool thing about this is, since it records in 4K, I can use this footage in my YouTube videos. So that's a plus. Less cameras mounted everywhere and looking like a freaking Starship Cruiser inside the cabin, even though it already does. But that's a plus for me. I can use that footage. This one is actually the G900 Wolf box. There's one up from that called the G900 Pro, and that comes with like voice activation. I could tell it to take a photo, or I can tell it to show the rear view camera, things like that. But it seems pretty cool, but I don't really need to speak to my rear view camera. Too much smart technology out here. I'm fine with just this. So that is a plus. I love it so far. It works really nicely. It also will do voice recording. So if you get pulled over by the cops or something, you can record that whole, situation. And I can also record it for my footage when we're talking on the radio. So that is pretty cool. Now, for comms. For comms, I am running the Midland GMRS MXT 275 VP4. I can't believe I remembered that name. I actually have it hidden. So the only thing that you can see is my hand unit. Okay. That's all you can see. The rest is stowed underneath the driver's seat in the little compartment that I think some people do dual battery in. It's mounted under there, and I have the actual handpiece coming out. It's like a phone jack, just like that. And I just put it right in the side there, so I can take it out when I'm not using it, and then get it out of the way, and then when I am using it, just plug her in, just like that. It's just all convenience, when you're building your rig, it needs to be custom to you. How you do things, where you want to reach for things. That was the reason with the Trailway Design switch panel. I'm right-handed, and so this mounts on the left. And at first, I thought, it's not going to be too convenient for me to keep lifting my left hand. Turns out I was wrong. It's really easy to reach. It's not a bother at all, especially while I'm driving. Works out fine. So yeah, so you just want to make things custom to the way you work, and what makes it easier for you while you're out on the trails or just driving wherever. So keep that in mind. Get out there, hit the trails, go do what you do, and figure out what works for you. That's my 2 cents. It's getting dark out here quick, so I'm trying to hurry up. Let's go take a look just real quick about what I have in the back of the Grand and we'll talk about storage and camping type stuff. All right, so let's take a look. All right, so as we get to the back, oh, I forgot to mention too, this is my GMRS radio antenna. It's a 3 decibel. You can get it on Midland. It is originally supposed to be a bull bar antenna, but I don't have a bull bar, so I mounted it on the Six Monkeys rear tire swing. I think it looks all right. But this thing's awesome. I've gotten signal from someone that was lost on the other side of the dang mountain we were on, and I was the only one that could reach or get a signal from their radio. This is another cool thing about the Six Monkeys tire swing. It'll open at 90 degrees, but if you need to, you can get it to open a full 180. It won't lock in now because I got my traction boards there. It's hitting the bumper. Didn't see that when I installed it. Okay, so for the rear, we have the Bouge RV Rocky 40 fridge, which I've done videos on that. And it's a fridge freezer. It comes with also a backup battery pack in case you lose power, but I'm usually just powering it off of this 2,000 watt all powers power bank. So that's plenty of juice, keeps it running for a whole weekend trip. And then this whole rack is another Six Monkeys Molly panel rack. It attaches to the Six Monkeys rear window Molly panel, which also got a fire extinguisher mounted there. So yeah, I mean, this thing comes in handy too. I can kind of build my setup around it. I can also take it out if I need to. But when I sleep in the back and I lay the back row down, I fit perfectly in this area here with the fridge there and all that. So it works for me. Dang, this place is filthy dirty. I need to clean this Jeep out. Next, I got some little backup GMRS radios from Baofeng. These are good to have when you are with people that maybe don't have a radio, or if you get out to spot somebody. So that's nice. And then tucked away back here, I got a little water pump along with a hose system. That's usually to clean off dishes, but also clean off Bravo, my 115-pound German Shepherd, when we leave the dog park. He gets filthy. He's totally trashed this Jeep. And let's see what else. I got a pistol safe up here, and actually you access it from the back seat. So if I come around, I got all my stuff in the back seat right now because I thought we were going to hit the trail, and I'm just going to keep it in here for tomorrow. But if I pull the seat forward, got a nice little pistol safe here. Can't remember the name of it, the brand of it, but it works pretty nice. It got biometric, just like that. She pops open. It doesn't have to be a pistol safe. It can really just be for anything you want to keep safe. And I put basically the steel cable that locks everything in so no one can take it, just mounted to the Molly. So if they really want to get it, they're gonna have to work for it. But yeah, it works pretty nicely, especially when you're traveling across states that aren't so friendly of self-preservation, or preservation, I should say. No more comment. All right, guys, that's almost it. I got one more thing to show you guys. Well, two more. We'll pop the hood. Oh, look at those V-lins. So sexy. Okay, here's a couple things I'm running. So this is the aux beam 8-gang switch panel, like I showed you guys in the cabin. I just rewired it. I'm super proud of myself. She looks nice and clean. And then I also have a shut-off switch for the winch so that it's not drawing constant power. I also, something funny was happening with the open road winch. I think it's the remote control frequency. I think it gets tricked by the neighbor's garage, and when they open it, I would come outside and my winch line had been spooled out, you know, about 10 or 15 inches or so, and it would kept tripping me out. So what I did was I added a kill switch to it, and so it's not draining the power, but also it doesn't get tricked, because that was super weird. Then also for airing up, I am using the ARB single piston air compressor. The single piston air compressor has worked perfectly for me. I use a 4-way tire inflator, and she's aired up back to normal in just about 5 minutes or so, from let's say 10 or 12 psi back to 36. Takes about 5 minutes or so. You can do the dual piston. It'll do things a lot quicker, but it does take up a lot more room. And I actually didn't buy a custom bracket or anything. I actually just mounted it right in front of that computer, the Jeep's computer module, and it's worked fine. The good thing about the ARB compressor is you can loosen up and switch up and twist and get this thing fitted exactly where you want it. It's pretty versatile in getting it into tight places. So I got the air chuck pointed straight up, and she's out of the way and clean. This is also a little breaker switch for the aux beam switch panel. In case something goes haywire, this will flip and save all your electronics. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this little video. I hope you found it helpful as far as taking notes from my build and what's kind of necessary for a good overland vehicle. Some of these things are purely luxury or just preference. But when you get into some of the things like suspension and those components under the vehicle, those are some of the things that are vital and make the difference between your rig breaking on the trail after a while or standing the test of time. And, you know, with some of those other brands that I said, no, it's a no-go, you may be fine with those for a little while, but over time, they're gonna start showing their true colors. So keep that in mind. I'm here to help you guys. I'm not here to bash brands. I'm not here to tell you what you got is crap. I'm just telling you from the experience that I've had and what I've gone through with making mistakes on buying things that I shouldn't have at first because I was just listening to people. So I'm really happy with where I kind of have the Granite Grand right now. There's always going to be changes. There's always going to be better components. There's always going to be things that I think beat out what I have on there now. And that's part of the build. That's part of just going through it and doing it the right way and figuring things out. So I hope I helped you guys with your build. I hope I brought some value and helped you out. That's my goal. Oh, and also, I didn't get a chance to tell you, the skid plates pass the Chief Products front lower guard. I have another Chief Products bash guard, and then the rest is 6 monkeys. So make sure you put protection on your vehicle. I say that's first and foremost. But anyway, if you haven't hit subscribe, please smack that subscribe button. I appreciate the support. And like always, guys, I love you. Peace.